He is one of my favorite Assamese author. He died some years before, Hourab Kumar Saliha. Hourab Kumar Saliha, it is his nickname, so I should not say what his name is, but he was one of the literary figure that remained one of the most captivating author, and across the generations, across their disciplinary backgrounds, who should read it and who should remain interested in reading this work. Saliha was much more futuristic author. He captures many complexities of the world in a brilliant but also in a very complex language. I think Saliha, who has been writing from the 50s onward, right? So he remained a powerful literary figure who has been read by several generations. His prose style, his captivating ways of talking about futuristic elements, for example, his discussion on what a metropolis should be, what a society should be, interpersonal relationships, or in terms of the progress of science, liberalism, or these ideas are really spelled out by Hourab Kumar Saliha in a very powerful way. His prose what draws me continuously. Short sentences, but also complex sentences, but also literary languages. So I would personally suggest that anyone who is interested in India's literary history should read Hourab Kumar Saliha. Those who can read in Assamese, they should read Hourab Kumar Saliha in Assamese, but there has been now increasing numbers of translation in English, so that should be also read by him. The other book which I thought I should at least discuss briefly, it is a biography of Hankardev. He was a 15th-16th century Vaishnavite scholar, Vaishnavite saint, social reformer, and his disciple Madhavdev. Both of them remain one of the central figures of Assam's history. This biography was written by a 20th century Assamese literary a doyen of Assamese literary history, Lokinath Bezbarua. Bezbarua was one of the central figure in Assamese literary history. Bezbarua wrote what he did not write actually. He wrote in many forms, many genres, extremely critical, intelligent, and ways of challenging the authorities, the colonial state, but also a sense of relief to the community. This particular biography, which is one of the first detailed, exhaustive biography of these two central figures. Once, if someone reads this work, I feel anyone who is deeply interested in knowing about the 15th, 16th century Assam, they get to know about it very well. About the larger philosophical questions that the society was engaged with, the larger intellectual history of the society, the larger cultural patterns, the larger social forces, they are discussed in detail. Bezbarua wrote it in a powerfully brilliant language. Bezbarua wrote it to a larger readers. He is not obviously writing to a specific readership. So I would suggest that anyone who is interested in knowing about this region of the 15th, 16th century and their subsequent transition, they should read this book. Unfortunately, the book's English translation is not available. Anyway, nothing wrong in knowing or learning about the language. I would like to go to another important book, which is one of my favorite, and I see Retreat of Elephants by Mark Elephant. This particular book, I would say this is not about the retreat of the elephants. This is about the massive and gigantic uh, environmental, economic, and the political transitions that China underwent in the last couple of centuries. But it is also about the long history of China, the last several thousands of years, based on solid archival work and detailed empiricism. Mark Alvin, uh, he has produced an extraordinary chronology of the upheavals of China, uh, the extensive expansion of agriculture, the extensive creation of the infrastructures, the environmental instabilities, rainfall, the dry seasons, droughts, floods, everything is being discussed. But it is the China's and civilizational ethos, its state projects, its political histories and economic histories, which are being brought in detail, right, to tell a masterful account of China's environmental history. Many of us are well aware of China's political histories or contemporary economic progresses, but those who are interested to know more about China's long environmental history, I would strongly recommend that Mark Alvin's The Retreat of the Elephants. It should be a handbook for anyone. Pardon Brodel, A History of Civilization. This is a well-known masterpiece. Generation and generations of scholars from Europe, from Asia, from America, from Africa, and other parts, they have been reading this work. But this work is also a history of capitalism, history of modern economy, history of modern ideas or modern societies, right? But written from a very, very different perspective. We are familiar with the history of institutions, literary modernity, or the European architectures, but this work brings each and every small and minutest detail of, particularly of Western Europe, right? And it has integrated all those things into one single frame. I would personally say those who are interested to learn about the global history, Brodel's this particular work, A History of Civilization, is an unavoidable work. Anyone who is interested on this work should take and read this book and kept on reading. And these books are essentially cannot be read in one go. One will keep on coming to this book repeatedly and forever.